So we talked a bit about the focus on content for creating and capturing demand. And again, demand generation calls for a lot of content creation and repurposing in order for you to create the demand that you need to create. And they call this the media machine. And so the idea of this is that your marketing department should operate first like a media company, which is kind of a big challenge, especially for clients that maybe are not used to dedicating a lot to content. But the whole idea is offering value-led, entertaining content to your ICPs all year round. It's kind of like a 24/7, 365 approach to content. Basically saying that your customers should expect to receive the same level and quality of content from you that they would from their favorite news source. Again, that's a big ask and that's a big call. So a lot of times, like, companies have to rely on repurposing content to meet that expectation. So again, we do some of this too. Like, Colby has done a great job with the podcast, like making that into shorts for social media. So kind of thinking about how do you structure a campaign that can repurpose the same assets in different ways. They say that to do this, you should also decide on an overarching strategic narrative for your campaign, create several point of views underneath this strategic narrative, associate sparks of conversation from these points of view, and identify subject matters based on these sparks. We're going to dive more into that because they actually have a specific name for this, and it is the easy mode framework. So this is how they recommend that you kind of think about your content strategy approach. And I thought breaking it into a table might be kind of the easiest way to visualize this. But basically, the idea is coming up with a narrative that's relevant to your industry. So the example here is B2B buying behavior has changed. So it's some statement that about the industry that would be relevant to your audiences. And then you break it down into points of view. This is basically the same thing as like a persona or an ICP that your client might have documented. So you would break these out here. And then sparks are basically a statement that this persona would make about this narrative. So for example, a marketing director, in response to the narrative that B2B buying behavior has changed, they might say marketers need to find the right places to create demand. And a subject based on that might be demand generation channels. So this subject could then inform your social media posts or other content that you create. And the same goes for these other personas. So a marketing specialist might be more tactical about it. It might say, like, we cannot rely on outdated tactics anymore. And then one of your subjects could be new marketing tactics, and you could dive into that for posts as well. You could have like several frameworks throughout the year. Obviously, you don't have to just stick to just one. So this is kind of an interesting approach. Obviously, there are a lot of different approaches to content strategy. I think that we kind of do this to some extent in different ways, but this is a way that you could really make sure that you are speaking to each of your target points of view or personas, and to make sure that you're really providing them with valuable content. So some of the ways to actually utilize the easy mode framework, one of the things that they really emphasize is utilizing subject matter experts. This is something that we've talked about as well with the Evenbound content. A lot of me has been thinking about like the Evenbound content initiatives we've been doing. And really what this does is it adds authority to your content. It offers a unique perspective. If you're actually like, and some companies do this, hiring a subject matter expert and like contracting out somebody or working with an influencer or something of that sort, they bring their community with them as well. So you also get that benefit. And oftentimes they know where your ICP hangs out because they're probably already in those places, and they can give you a lot of insight as to where you can find them. It also emphasizes the value of LinkedIn, which a lot of us are familiar with too, and I feel like we use that a lot for our clients. But also look into relevant social channels where your audience spends time. They talk about the importance of really honing in on the specific social channels relevant to your audience and not wasting time just trying to be on every single one. You should really be identifying the one or a couple that your customers spend the most time on and focusing on those. Again, this content should be value-led versus promotional. You should not be simply just selling your product. You should be thinking about information that your customers need. It also emphasizes not being afraid of a long form post, like not being afraid of kind of writing a lot in your post and kind of giving away the information versus just like linking to something and making people have to click a link and then maybe fill out a form in order to get the information. It really emphasizes like the fact that most people do not want to leave their feed. And so you should be upfront providing the insights in your actual post, which again, like I feel like deviates from a lot of the traditional approaches of linking to an ebook or something like that versus giving the information up front. But the idea is, again, focusing on value-led, genuine content for your audience. It also talks about the importance of bottom of funnel content. So even though we focus primarily on creating demand, capturing demand is still important. So you should still cater some content to this audience segment. They say like everything is on all the time for everyone, meaning like you should be producing valuable content for all stages of your funnel and all ICPs all the time. Again, a big ask, but something that hopefully you can do by repurposing content. And then it also emphasizes that your blog should really be like the searchable hub for your media machine. So they kind of talk about the traditional idea that like the blog can sometimes be the place that content just goes to die. Like you just put it up there and then nobody really looks at it, you forget about it. But it should really be the place that customers feel they can go to like search a term and find a bunch of resources for what they need. So focus on making it easily searchable with tags, categories, a search bar, and other features. I definitely know some of our clients could use this because you have to like scroll forever, like looking for certain topics to find. And if it's hard for us, it's obviously hard for customers as well. So just make sure you're thinking about how searchable the blog actually is on your client's website.